Welcome back to our live show. In this segment, our colleague Andrea Swipe-Murdaugh talked with an expert about anxiety.
Social distancing has become our new normal, for the time being at least, but it can have a potential negative impact on those who deal with anxiety. Joining us this morning is psychiatrist Dr. Laura Dabney, and we welcome her to our live show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I have truly myself even been suffering from anxiety. And I think that some people who are on different levels, even on a normal basis, can be experiencing some additional anxiety right now. And those who maybe have not experienced anxiety in the past may be kind of tiptoeing into that realm. So how is social distancing impacting people who suffer and maybe don't suffer from anxiety?
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people who've never had a mental health disorder or any emotional problems now suffering from not only anxiety, but some other mood disorder symptoms like depression. The American Psychiatric Society just came out with their survey from March, which showed that a third of Americans have said that the social distancing has seriously impacted their emotional well-being. That's a significant number. So people who've not had any disorders previously will see anxiety and depression symptoms, but as you pointed out, of course, I guess understandably, people who've had anxiety previously will also show an uptick in their symptoms, either in duration or the intensity, or their symptoms, anxiety symptoms will ramp up to include some panic symptoms such as trouble breathing, sense of impending doom, chest tightness, and things like that.
Yeah. And so are there other symptoms that you're seeing more commonly now than what you typically would see?
Exactly. So people who've had anxiety before this disorder will now start having symptoms they've never had, such as depression symptoms, hopelessness, helplessness, difficulty getting going, obsessive compulsive symptoms, such as hoarding, eating when they're not hungry, maybe ruminations. So it's this sort of combination of many disorders all piled into one.
Interesting. And so as you kind of jump into social distancing, it came about suddenly. We're all kind of still figuring out exactly what that means. How are people coping with the sudden nature of this?
Well, you know, there is this disorder already in our psychiatric lexicon called social isolation disorder, but that's been internally motivated. That's when you have the ability to socialize, but for internal, unconscious, unknown reasons, you're avoiding socializing. That's very different than what we're seeing. And this hasn't really been described, but it's this external forcing of social deprivation. So that is causing all these symptoms we were just talking about. And what we've been helping people cope with, how I've been helping my patients cope, and I know others have been recommending, is that we do as much as we can to keep things normal. So for instance, people think that if you don't have a busy life or a busy schedule that you can't schedule what you do have, but you can. That scheduling things out, when you wake up and when you go to bed and when you do this project, when you're going to stop doing that project. Even that kind of scheduling can give you a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. So go ahead and continue to schedule. Reach out and socialize when you can. You know, all the studies show that we are social animals, just like a lot of social animals. We really get a lot of our well-being and those endorphin rises in communicating, in socializing. And that involves three factors. That involves tactile, the touch, the high five, the pat on the shoulder. It involves the visual cues, the nodding, the eye contact, etc., as well as the verbal cues. And I understand, and those kind of things. Those three type of cues really give us that endorphin rush. And it's very, very important. So even if you can use a telephone, great. But if you can get that extra visual cues in there, like we're doing the online platforms, even better. They'll get you more sense of connection that way if you do that. Also, don't hesitate to reach out. I know a lot of people are so afraid to call their doctors or go to the hospital if they get really serious symptoms such as suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, substance abuse, but don't be afraid to do that. We get a lot of images from New York City where they are overrun, their hospitals are, but ours are not at this point. We're very fortunate. The hospitals are still there for all other disorders, not just for COVID. And of course, if 911 is appropriate, don't hesitate to call them too.
Well, thank you so much for all of those tips. I think we all need that reminder right now, and just the emphasis on protecting our mental health through all of this, especially while you're home alone in some cases. Thank you so much for being with us today. For those of you who might want additional information about Dr. Laura Dabney and her practice, please visit our website, WTVR.com/VTM.